Hello, welcome to this presentation on part 3 of the book by L. Ranganathan on Arthshastra, the ancient treatise on politics and governance. Today we focus on Kautilya's vision of the ideal king, his training, duties, self-control, and the philosophy that binds the ruler to the welfare of his people. The foundational principle of Kautilya's political philosophy is that a king is synonymous with the state. He encapsulates all the constituents of the state. This identification means that the personal virtues, vices, discipline, and actions of the king have direct and profound consequences for the entire kingdom. The text interchangeably uses the term king and the state, highlighting that the ruler's personal conduct is a matter of public and political concern. A king's primary duty is the just protection of his people according to law, a duty so sacred that its faithful performance leads to the heavenly rewards, while its neglect or perversion through unjust punishment leads to ruin. The text sternly warns that a king who ignores the established teachings of Dharmashastra and the Arthshastra bring destruction upon his kingdom through his own injustice. The prince's education was rigorous, designed to mold intellect and restraint. Only a self disciplined mind could master government, ensuring wisdom and justice in rule. The ultimate objective is to produce a king who is wise, disciplined, devoted to just governing the subjects, and ever conscious of the welfare of all beings, thereby enabling him to enjoy the earth unopposed. The text postulates a chain of dependency. The development of all sciences, which includes philosophy, the Vedas, and economics, relies on the science of government. Effective government, in turn, is dependent on king's self discipline. This establishes self control as bedrock of the prosperous and learned state. Discipline is categorized as both inborn and acquired. The text is pragmatic, noting that training can only benefit those with an innate capacity for it. It lists essential mental faculties for learning: obedience, desire to learn, retention, understanding, reflection, and inference. A future king must possess these to benefit from the instruction. The prince's education is comprehensive and structured. It begins with the literacy and arithmetic in early childhood, followed by the study of philosophy, the Vedas, economics, and the science of government from both the theoretical and the political experts. He is to remain a celibate until 16, after which he marries. His education continues into adulthood, involving the martial art trainings, study of history, and constant revision of knowledge. The goal is to cultivate an intellect capable of successful application and self possession, self control, and the ideal of the Rajarishi. Kautilya's Rajarishi unites the saint and the strategist. He conquers internal vices, governs with intellect and empathy, and ensures the balance of morality and the material prosperity. The core of self control is the conquest of six internal vices: lust, anger, greed, conceit, arrogance, and foolhardiness. The text provides historical examples of kings who were destroyed by succumbing to these vices, who enjoyed long reigns due to their self mastery. The message is clear. A king who indulges in sensual pleasures, even with vast power, is doomed to fall. The text introduces the concept of Rajarishi, or wise king, who embodies a perfect synthesis of spiritual discipline and pragmatic statecraft. A Rajarishi is characterized by self control and mastery over senses, an intellect cultivated through association with elders, vigilance maintained through a network of spies, constant activity for people's scrutiny and welfare, enforcement of dharma through authority and personal example, continuous learning and self improvement, actions that endear him to his people through enrichment and benevolence. The Rajarishi is not an ascetic. He is to avoid harmful persons and activities, shun coveting others' property or wives, practice non-violence, and avoid vices like falsehood and extravagance. However, he is permitted sensual pleasures as long as they do not infringe upon his dharma and material well-being. On the hierarchy of the three human goals, Kautilya departs from the other teachers by unequivocally prioritizing artha, arguing that both dharma, righteousness, and the kama, pleasure, depend upon it. The daily duties and the governance of the king. The Arthshastra defines a king's day with military precision. From dawn to night, he must act, decide, and listen. The king's personal energy sets the tone for entire administration. A lazy king leads to lax subjects, loss of wealth, and vulnerability to enemies. Therefore, the king should himself always be energetic. The text prescribes a highly regimented daily schedule, dividing the day and also the night into 8 1.5-hour periods each. This schedule allocates specific time for state administration, in which he receives reports, public audience, revenue collection, appointing officials, writing dispatches, and consulting with the councillors. Regarding defense, he should be inspecting forces and consulting with the chief of defense. Regarding intelligence, he should be receiving reports from the secret agents and sending out spies. Personal activities like the meals, bath, study, recreation, contemplation, and sleep, a total of about 110.5 hours per day. This structure ensures that the king dedicates himself fully to the diverse responsibilities of statecraft, from public engagement to secret intelligence. A king must be accessible to his people. Making petitioners wait lead to wrong decisions and public anger, potentially driving subjects to the enemy. The king is instructed to hear urgent matters immediately and to prioritize hearing the concerns of the most vulnerable, including deities, hermits, minors, the aged, the sick, and women. The king's role is framed as a sacred vocation. His readiness to act is his vow. The performance of his duties is his ritual. Impartiality is his offering, and his coronation is his initiation. The most profound political philosophy in the text is encapsulated in the maxim: in the happiness of his subjects lies the happiness, in their welfare his welfare. He shall not consider as good only that which pleases him, but treat as beneficial to him whatever pleases his subjects. This establishes a form of benevolent parentalism where the king's self interest is entirely aligned with the prosperity of his people. Economic responsibility. This chapter concludes by reinforcing the importance of Artha. The root of the wealth is economic activities, and its absence brings material distress. A king must therefore be ever active in the management of the economy to ensure current prosperity and future growth, achieving his objectives through productive enterprise. Security of the king. This section shifts focus from king's moral and the administrative duties to the paramount concern of his physical survival. It outlines a sophisticated and a paranoid system of security measures designed to protect the sovereign from the external and, more importantly, internal threats. Arthshastra establishes that the king's personal security is the foundational element of statecraft. Without a secure king, there is no stable state. This section is acutely concerned with the danger of assassination, particularly from the palace inmates, such as queens, princes, and the members of the royal household. This reflects a starkly realistic understanding of the court politics, where proximity to the power breeds both loyalty and treachery. The text prescribes a multi-layer approach to securing king's living quarters, transforming his home into a complex security apparatus. The royal residence is to be situated on a strategically selected site, surrounded by ramparts, a moat, and a guarded gates to create a formidable physical barrier. The king's private chambers are located in the center of the complex. The security design involves a remarkable architecture deception and includes a multi-story underground bunker for the king to disappear into, chambers in the maze with concealed passages within the walls, a concealed underground passage leading from the chambers to the nearby shrine with an exit disguised, a secret means of descent from an upper floor hidden in the wall, pillar, or the behind a trapdoor. So the underlying principle is constant: the need to safeguard oneself against attack by palace inmates. Beyond the architecture, the text shows concern for the subtle form of assassination. It mentions protecting against snake and other poisons, and alludes to the occult method for averting dangers like fire and poison, revealing a holistic view of security that addresses both tangible and perceived supernatural threats. The security measures reveal a dark philosophy of the power. The king, though absolute, lives in a constant peril. His home is designed for survival, fostering a mindset of necessary fear. The concealed passages are metaphors for the duplicitous nature of court life, where true intentions are concealed. A king who is insecure cannot effectively perform his duties. Therefore, physical security is prerequisite for good governance. This section also implies that the existence of sophisticated secret service integral to monitoring the royal household and preempting threats. Succession and stability. This section deals into the critical political issues of royal lineage, the transfer of power, and the comparative analysis of flawed rulers, showcasing Kautilya's pragmatic and nuanced approach to ensuring state stability. The continuity of royal line is a fundamental pillar for state security. A king not of royal blood risks losing the loyalty of the people, therefore, the process of succession are treated with immense strategic importance. Princes are categorized as the wise son, the lazy son, or the wicked son, while the eldest son should inherit. A wicked eldest can be removed. The text pragmatically suggests alternatives like niyoga, appointed procreation, or collective sovereignty by the royal family to secure a stable lineage. The state's response to disgruntled princes, is strategic, involving surveillance, containment, or co-optation. The text also advises disciplined prince on how to justifiably seize power from an unjust father. Conversely, the king is advised to use trickery or assassination to neutralize a rebellious son, prioritizing state stability over familial bonds. Counselors are tasked with the delicate operation of deception and consolidation to manage the death of a king and ensure a smooth transition of power, preventing state collapse. When there is no clear adult here, Kautilya firmly rejects a counselor seizing power for himself. His ethical and pragmatic solution is to install a royal figurehead, a prince or a princess or a pregnant queen, while the counselor acts as a regent, exercising power for the state's benefit and preparing to retire when the heir comes of age. Abnormality of kingship. This section analyzes various pathological conditions of kingship, contrasting the views of the other teachers with the Kautilya's own. Kautilya supports successful joint rule over a foreign usurper who is seen as an inherently unstable. Kautilya argues an unlearned king can be guided by ministers, but a king who knowingly deviates from the righteousness is a lost case. A Sikh king can rule through established system, while a new usurper rules capriciously and lacks deep-rooted legitimacy. Kautilya places supreme value on nobility of birth, believing it commands natural obedience, whereas people will naturally subvert a low-born king. In all comparisons, Kautilya demonstrates a preference for legitimacy and inherent capacity over raw power and temporary expediency. The Arthshastras present a holistic, demanding, and deeply realistic vision of kingship. The ideal ruler is a meticulously trained, self-disciplined, and tirelessly active Rajarishi. His authority is legitimized not by divine rights alone, but by his unwavering commitment to justice, the material welfare of his people, and his own rigorous self mastery. The text seamlessly intertwines personal morality with public policy, arguing that the state's stability and the prosperity are a direct reflection of king's internal character and external conduct. Kautilya's legacy. This vision extends to the pragmatic realms of security and succession. The king must live in a fortress designed against betrayal from within, and the state must have clear, if sometimes harsh, protocols for managing the royal lineage and transferring power. Kautilya's philosophy is a unique blend of moral duty and strategic cunning, where every action, from the king's daily schedule to the design of his palace to the treatment of his heirs, is ultimately judged by one supreme standard: the welfare and stability of the state. The king as The embodiment of the state must therefore dedicate his life to the disciplined routine of administration and survival, guided by the principle that his own success is intricately linked to the happiness and welfare of his subjects. In the closing thoughts, we can say again, in the happiness of his subject lies the happiness, in their welfare, his welfare. With this, we have come to the end of this chapter. Thank you.